So thanks. I'd like to share with you a story about the incredibly dynamic planet that we live on. The story will actually be told by the planet's vegetation as sensed from outer space and as interpreted by the Earth Transmodeler, a new software system we've developed at Clark. The technique that we'll use is something called seasonal trend analysis, a two-stage time series analysis that maps trends in the shape of the seasonal curve of vegetation productivity. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of how this works. You can actually just appreciate it visually. So here we see a global mapping of trends from 1982 to 2007. This is the response of vegetation. The critical color here is gray, because gray means absence of trend. Not much gray, is there? Okay? All these other colors represent trends in how vegetation is responding. So, chapter 1, Europe. To understand what the colors mean, we need to define an area of interest, which we can do as a vector feature or as a circular area of interest. Here I've circled Germany, and it responds then by drawing two graphs. A graph going from January through December of the beginning of the series in 1982, and then it shows the end of the series in 2007. So what does that graph represent? It shows that vegetation is actually producing more matter over this period of time, particularly in the spring and in the autumn. And there's lots of evidence, in fact, that the spring is coming earlier. If you look sideways, you can see that in Europe, spring is coming about a month early. Now, it doesn't affect all areas the same way. Here we are in the Northeast, in our area. Notice that our spring isn't coming any earlier. And in fact, we do have an extension of the autumn, but we don't get that earlier onset of spring. It's kind of cruel, don't you think? This confirms it. What you see here is the information from all weather stations run by NOAA, combined for March on the left and September on the right, and it confirms that the plants really are, in fact, responding to changes in temperature. Chapter 2. We're in British Columbia. Can you find the little circle? This is the area of interest, and what we see is that is associated with, in that cyan color, a decrease of vegetation in the winter. Now, what's green in the winter? Conifers, all right? What you're seeing here is an indirect effect of climate change. These beetles, the spruce beetle and the pine beetle, are both kept under control by cold winters. We just haven't had many of them recently. That's a huge outbreak. Also, another indirect effect here in the boreal forest, it's drying out as a result of climate change, and so it's now susceptible to much more frequent fire impacts. This whole area is actually very dramatically affected. Chapter 3. This is the grains belt in the Great Plains. Notice the much bigger productivity in the summertime, in the middle of the growing season. Anybody have an idea what this could be? It's good answer, but not. It's actually the Green Revolution. The blue areas in the Midwest there, you see a similar different crop, in this case corn and soybean, much of it genetically modified, but massive increases in productivity. All right, India. Here we see, again, large increases in productivity during a double peak growing season. This might be partly related to the Green Revolution, but it actually relates more to something that we could fairly call the Blue Revolution. India is now mining water at a rate that far exceeds what the monsoon can replenish. This is environmental engineering on a grand scale. Unfortunately, the water is going to run out. Chapter 4, Central American. Petén is called. It's a forested area, tropical forest. Notice the much lower vegetation productivity in May. This is the dry season. That's because we have much greater land in harvest. This is going through deforestation, massive deforestation. About 20% of our carbon emissions right now are actually coming from deforestation. It's a major topic coming up in Copenhagen. And finally, China. Much lower productivity during most of the growing season. We're in southern China. Anybody have a guess on this one?
Urbanization.
Not a trick question, it's actually quite easy. Do you know this area?
Urbanization.
It's urbanization, right? Land cover change then is chapter number 4, all right, in this story. The world is going through tremendous changes in surface properties, in the atmosphere. We're used to a dialogue that's mostly about projections from models, but in fact, we now have the technology to actually see it, geospatial temporal technology that would allow us. There's lots of stories here please help us write the book on this. There are tools now to actually do this kind of analysis. Thank you.